r/askreddit by Dr. Reddit. What is the scariest thing you've ever seen while driving at night? Driving down a two-lane divided highway. I came up to a couple semis and went into the left lane to pass. I did a shoulder check to get back into the right lane when I saw headlights in front of me, in my lane. The car was going the wrong way. I managed to swerve into the ditch, felt like I was mere centimeters from death. Thought my wife's scream would be the last thing I ever hear. And I never want to hear it again. The semis I passed all pulled to the shoulder to come check on us. Didn't see the car anywhere. I think they just kept going. Had to pull into a gas station after and collect myself. Edit, rephrase to make less confusing. Actually very nice of those semis to check on you guys. Truckers are either the nicest people on the road or the biggest serial killer assholes. No in between. Someone I knew locally came across a Jeep that had just crashed into the ditch on a highway at night, flipped on its top, wheels still turning kind of thing. He was the first on scene, so called 911 and ran down into the ditch. The driver, who was badly mangled, had been tossed from the car and was dying. This guy held him and the driver died in his arms. The weirdest part of it all was that he found out the next day that it was his cousin, but he hadn't been able to recognize him. I hope the guy who died was comforted by knowing a family member was with him. A ducking owl standing on the corpse of a large buck in the mountains at 3 to 5 a.m. All you see as you approach are two glowing red orbs, then slowly it becomes huge dark form standing on the edge of the road with eyes of fire. Then you get close enough and this massive ducking owl just gives you the death stare as you go past. You realize it was just a large-ass owl standing on the remains of fresh roadkill. Freaked me out for the rest of the dark part of the drive. I was following a gray Toyota Tundra in a massive blizzard through Montana on McDonald Pass. He was going pretty quick most of the way but must have been unfamiliar with how steep the final few miles are. He got away from me as I slowed down to about 35. Not 5 minutes later I passed his tire marks in the fresh snow that went off the side of the mountain. Pulled over and looked down to see his truck upside down and on fire about 300 yards down. Called 911. He didn't die but was burned up pretty bad. Sad and scary, and don't go 50 in the snow just because you have a truck or 4WD. I've heard it said before, but I'll say it again, four-wheel drive isn't four-wheel stop. More weight may mean more traction, but also means more inertia. I woke up in the driver's seat to the sound of rumble strips and the guardrail coming right at me. Well, that's why the rumble strips are there. I thought it was so blind people can gauge where they're in the lane. Dad was driving at night, and I was looking out the window and saw two red pinpricks in the cornfield, and it followed us. I told my dad about it and he said, in the most calm, casual tone for this situation, "Those are cornfield demons. Stay in the car and you'll be okay." Cue me freaking the hell out when he got out of the car not too long after to check a tire before getting back in. I'm still not sure if that was an actual thing or if he was using a situation to his advantage to teach me to not do anything stupid like that at night. Either ways, it worked, and I still have no idea what those two pinpricks were. Your dad is epic. Whilst driving from Morelia to Ciudad Hidalgo, in Mexico, back in the 80s we had two ways to get to Ciudad Hidalgo, which was the National Road or the Old National Road, which was called Mil Cumbres. Mil Cumbres basically means 1,000 curves. That stretch of road literally had 1,000 curves, so a lot of people would get motion sickness when on that road. One evening on our way back to my grandparents, who lived in Ciudad Hidalgo, my grandfather was driving and he loved taking Mil Cumbres because it had really nice views and he just really loved driving that road. But since we had the new National Road, not a lot of people used that road anymore, so it was kind of desolate with the exception of passing one or two little towns. It was dusk so soon that meant that being on such a desolate road in the mountains, we would be in complete darkness on the road with no many other cars on the same stretch of road. It took 2 hours to get to the town on that road, so maybe 45 minutes into the drive it had already gotten really dark, and as we were driving my grandfather started slowing down. I was sitting in the back seat because my grandmother was in the front with my grandfather, so I kind of stood over the front chairs to see why he was slowing down. That's when I saw a hug tree log blocking the road. My grandfather came to a stop and immediately started going in reverse to turn around and get out of the immediately. After we turned, my grandfather stepped on the gas pedal and I was sort of thrown back into the back seat. I immediately turned around to see if I could anything, and as we were speeding away, I could see men, very dimly since the light from the tail lights from the car were starting to get dimmer and dimmer, coming from out of the adjacent trees next to tree log on the road, with flashlights and guns. We were about to get robbed, and thanks to my grandfather's quick thinking and taking action immediately, we avoided it. That was the last time I was ever on that road.